Hey everyone, I'm Jenna,
I'm Clint, and welcome to the Enchanted Parks and Ports podcast.
where we chat Disney, Universal Cruise Lines, and beyond. Hello, and welcome to the Enchanted Parks and Ports podcast, where today we have another PICS episode. We haven't done one of these in a while, so excited to jump back into PICS and maybe, Clint, remind listeners what the heck are we talking about?
Yeah, it has been a serious minute since we've done this style of episode. We've just focused on a lot of other content up until this point, but I do appreciate this style of episode for just taking kind of a snapshot dive into a particular aspect that is Walt Disney World. And so, what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about Epcot, but only a portion of Epcot, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about what I think you and I are lovingly calling the non-World Showcase portion of the park, which essentially is the front of the park.
Yeah, because I understand that Epcot is divided into more lands, more worlds than simply World Showcase and the rest of the park. But in my mind, it is World Showcase and the rest of the park. So we're going to be covering that front bit, World Celebration, World Nature, etc. That's really in the non-around the lagoon hike.
Well, and I have to be honest in admitting that since some of this has been renamed,
Yeah.
it's not exactly, in my memory to the same degree. So I've just categorized it in that same way. And it's that space that you enter first before the rest of the park opens. But it's fantastic. And so as we think about a PICS episode, and especially just to remind listeners, we're going to talk each about a positive, an insight, a caution, and then a story related to this section of the park.
Yeah, and there's so much that could be covered. So again, this is almost like a zoomed in moment, not to give you almost the everything you should expect in this front of the park, but just a little snapshot of what are a couple insights in this area. That way you can, yeah, be ready to kind of hit up that area of Epcot. But before we get fully into this, news highlight. What do you have for us today, Clint?
Yeah, we have a news highlight that I think we've all been waiting for, like impatiently waiting
Desperately,
for. At least I
even.
have.
Yeah.
And I know you have been just because of the proximity of your upcoming May trip.
Yep.
And I do think the Disney gods were smiling down on you because this one ends up being available for you.
Well, we'll see if we get on it, but that's a separate story.
Yeah, your text to me was hilarious, by the way. I cracked up. So you may have to share that with listeners. But Big Thunder Mountain opening May 3rd. And not only is it opening, but for many families who have children who may not have been reaching that 40-inch height requirement yet, reclassified. This was one that I didn't see coming.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. 38 inches.
Yeah, 38-inch makes it much more accessible, kind of tells you how they're feeling maybe about this ride post refurbishment, and kind of what they're thinking that they were able to accomplish with the new track that's been installed, some of those kinds of things to make it much more kind of kid friendly. And it's always been that kid friendly coaster, kind of that gateway coaster. That's past Barnstormer, but before you get to the big stuff kind of situation.
Well, I think she's level 2. Like we have Slinky Dog and Snow White. I think it goes Barnstormer, those two, and then Big Thunder.
I put it a little more in the category with those two, honestly.
Do you?
I do. But
Interesting.
I think that it's so good that it's coming back. She's been down for a year. Thank you, Disney. We do appreciate all the refurbishment work over time. We've just got to figure out how we can do it faster. And so for all those families who are traveling in May, congratulations. You're going to get to be first, and we're all going to get to live vicariously through you on all the socials.
As long as you are not at Magic Kingdom on May 1st or 2nd, because May 3rd is when it comes back, and that would be a painful twist of fate for you, my friends. But I did tell Clint. So my oldest daughter is certainly she's above 40 inches. Like this could have been a conversation with the old height requirement, but she's like bold in almost every aspect of her life, but has been a little hesitant with the coastery vibes, right? And then for this attraction, when we got this news, I showed her kind of a couple videos of old Big Thunder because we don't exactly know what's coming. Um, and said, like, what do you think? Should we go on that one? And she said, you and dad go, I'll wait in the stroller.
And I'm sure at that point you were like, oh, my
It
heart
was
just died
like
a little
the
bit.
I was like, we could go together. And she's like, yeah, like, oh, I'll hold down the stroller as if we're gonna just leave her in the stroller. But anyway, she was like, yeah, that's not happening. So we'll see if we end up getting on it or if time wise, because it's where our Magic Kingdom Day is a birthday. Can I
Oh, yeah.
reasonably like leave her to go do some
No.
grown-up rides on her birthday? I don't know if my mom heart can do it. So we're not gonna be doing ride or swap probably. We're probably just hitting Dumbo 17 times,
Yeah, and I would probably have to work in a lightning lane where I
or
could take
something.
20 minutes in the day and go
Just
ride this thing. I
let's like
understand
forget the
the
birthday.
mom heart and all of those kinds of things, but I do think mom and dad get one moment, and
Oh,
this would have to be it
and
for
this,
me.
I know, it's such a good one. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. Maybe in my future, hopefully in yours, if you're traveling in May, or after that, especially like so many offers coming up for summer right now, and that's my news highlight, is we have this interesting ticket offer right now, this after 2 p.m. ticket. So this ticket has quite a few details. So if you're thinking of purchasing these, really go through the details, have a travel advisor go through this with you to make sure it's really the right fit for you because they're 2 or 3 day tickets, they're dated tickets, limit one theme park per day, no reservations required, but one park per day, so park hopper is not a thing, and they're after 2 p.m. in summer, which means we miss that like sweet spot of early morning, cooler weather rope drop vibes. You can tell that I will not be purchasing these particular tickets, but they might be right for someone, right? So if they are right for you, kind of look into the details because this is a new way to kind of play Disney if you want to get a bit of a discount, but for later in the day.
Yeah, that's a great caution, Jenna, from the standpoint that I do think, listeners or anybody that they may have contact with who are thinking about this particular ticket type, you just got to know what your expectations are going to be.
Yeah.
My fear with this is it's still not inexpensive, right?
Hmm.
They're still kind of a roughly $120 price tag with these tickets. Are they better than a full day park ticket? Yes, they are. And I think just what we know of park dynamic, that time of day, kind of, some of those factors that roll into a Disney World resort park day is you got to set your expectations in the right place, right? If you think I'm going to get a steal on these tickets and then I'm going to get to go all do all this stuff and it's going to be, you may not get to
Yeah.
do all
Yeah.
stuff because of the time of day, some of those kinds of things. So just encouraging listeners, make sure that if you're going to do this, make sure you've also set your expectations in the right place so that you can truly have those magical moments that you're desiring.
Yeah, and just keep in mind it impacts things like lightning lane possibilities for you, right? Because you're not going to be able to tap into that first lightning lane until after 2 p.m., right? So just those types of things, think that all through when kind of making that decision. Initially, my thought might be, oh my gosh, it takes us forever to get out of the house as a young family, so maybe this is a great idea. But at Disney, we have a very different way that we function, right? We have to get out early because we need that break in the middle of the day. So it's just something to think about and chat through if it's right for you, because there's a bunch of other offers out there right now too. So there might be one that fits your family better than others. Yeah.
Yeah, great point. And before we jump into the main topic, I do
Yeah.
want to just acknowledge that this will be one of our first couple of videos that we're actually, our podcast, we're putting on YouTube. So this is actually episode number 2.
Yep.
So for all of our listeners out there, if you're looking at trying to deepen your Enchanted Parks and Ports connection, we now have that YouTube channel open. It's running. There's some videos there, so go check us out. Enchanted Parks and Ports, pretty searchable. So yeah, pop on over, see what we've got to offer. We're going to continue to put up video content as we move through, trying just to arm people in all the ways for the Disney adventure and how to maximize your time.
Yeah, and we also have an Instagram at Enchanted Parks and Ports. If you want to follow us there, you'll get an announcement of what episodes are live. It's a good way to kind of stay connected to us and to the content. And we sometimes throw extra stories on there when we're traveling or these types of things. So follow us on all the things, be part of our socials family, and excitingly, you can watch our faces now if that for some reason appeals to you. That is
Yeah,
an option.
that's new and weird all at the same time.
We're getting used to that. We'll have to remember that we're on screen. We can't just slowly lean back or anything like that. But yeah.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into EPCOT front of park non-world showcase picks for this
Yeah.
particular episode. And so, as we often do, we're just going to roll through. We're going to do our positives, our insights,
Yeah.
cautions, and stories. We'll kind of bounce back and forth. I'm sharing some things. I do have to probably make a couple of admissions on this one.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, it's entertaining. But Jenna, why don't you jump in and start with what's your positive? So as you think about this part of what Walt Disney World has to offer,
Yeah.
what's your positive?
Okay. You might think this is a strange one because there's a lot that this part of the park offers. I agree. But the thing that I love most is the Epcot entrance music. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like, there
yes.
is just a very particular energy to walking into Epcot. And the Epcot entrance music is just so iconic. And I miss it when I come in from International Gateway. It's not quite the same to hear the music, to walk into kind of the view of Spaceship Earth, all of these things really does set your tone in a really cool way. And the nighttime music too, especially the way that there's some cool lighting effects in World Celebration right now, the way they've kind of utilized that courtyard um, makes it, yeah, really, I want to say vibey at night as well.
No, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Jenna, because that's not something I would have thought about, but it does hit you like right when you
Yeah.
walk through the turnstiles and you see the Epcot ball in front of you, and
Yes.
it's just loud and proud. And then you've got this other thing, the music that is tickling your senses
Yes.
all the way through that. It does really pack a punch in regard to how am I setting my Disney mood,
Yes.
right?
Totally. And it also like oftentimes there's some kind of opening festival celebration setup, right? Whether it's a topiary or some kind of festival of the arts display or whatever it is, that it just entering that park, like Epcot's not exactly about crossing off every attraction. There's some amazing attractions, and you should definitely do some at Epcot. But that's not exactly what this park is about to me. This park is more about atmosphere and experiencing. And so I think it's appropriate to highlight the way that that's really structured from the beginning. And then you also get the statue of Walt, right? Sitting in that area, that music playing, it really just does make you pause and reflect kind of on the beauty that is this dream that has come to be in this space, right?
It really does. And I think for me, as I think about this, a positive for this portion of the park is I think a lot of what you find in this area is what I would say is camouflaged, right?
Okay, tell
I
me
mean,
more.
it's interesting because you walk into other parks and you walk into these lands and they're very what I would say is attraction forward,
Right. Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the screaming coaster,
Yes,
and it's
yes,
obvious that there's a screaming coaster there.
sure,
Or
yeah,
you look and you go, yep, that's a ride queue
yeah,
because people are standing right there. I mean, you get that probably with Spaceship Earth, but the
right.
rest of this area, the majority of your attractions are inside a building in some way, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a
I
good
think
point.
what and it was, and I'm going to get to that as in a little bit. For me, was because this area is so kind of nondescript from an attraction standpoint. There's a lot to do here that you can easily not, I guess,
Really?
access or realize if you haven't prepared to understand it. And
Yeah.
so, I think that is the thing that I love about this part of the park is things are very condensed,
Yeah,
right? You don't have to race all over a park
true.
to get in a lot of wonderful things to do. You can do them at a pace that is a little more leisurely. It's a little more, again, I think the word you used was vibey.
Mm-hmm.
You get that with this if you just understand the way
Yeah.
it is put together. And so I think my positive is you can easily spend multiple hours just kind of cruising this
Yeah.
part of the park and get a ton done.
Totally. And a lot of these attractions too are no height requirement, which I like to highlight because outside of Magic Kingdom, when we're looking at rides at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Disney's Animal Kingdom, more limited in terms of number of rides without height requirement. People write off Epcot as not being a park for littles, but we have a number of rides in this area that are no height requirement. So that's one kind of consideration to put in there. And plus some in World Showcase as well.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, insights. What are some things to think about from that may be not on the obvious for this portion
Yeah.
of the park?
Do you want to go first this time? What's your
I
insight?
can go first. So here's what I think about Epcot. Epcot is known as, I think, kind of the dining park, right?
Okay, yep, yep. The foodie
But I
part.
think when people think about Epcot, they think about dining. They are not thinking about this part of the park.
No,
They're thinking about World Showcase, where you've
correct.
got all the pavilions,
Yeah,
you've got all the flavors. It's kind of the choose your own adventure of culinary delights.
yes.
And this part of the park has some outstanding dining baked into it. Garden
Yeah,
Grill's got some great stuff.
totally.
You've got the Connections Cafe that's got your Disney staples. Like this part of the park, I think gets undersold from what it brings from a dining and access standpoint. And sometimes when you're out in World Showcase and you're standing in lines and you're waiting for
Yeah.
stuff and some of these kinds of things, man, you can cruise through this part of the park, get quality food without the same kind of time investment.
That's a really great point. And Connections also is not always just Disney staples. Like it has some of those kind of, I don't know. It's like they knew, okay, this is a food court, this is a quick service space, but in
Yeah.
Epcot. So we need to up kind of the food caliber or offerings to something a bit unique. Um, we have used the setup of this as a really smart way for intergenerational families to like have a moment for mom and dad to run off and do a ride, right? Because if you have grandma and grandpa, let's say, having the kids get something to eat at Connections, there's that park right outside. You just
Yeah.
set up a lovely little contained way for them to be on kiddo duty for you to go ride Guardians, you know? So there's some nice ways that this park also bodes to supporting kind of that dynamic.
Well, and it's the opposite in that way to Hollywood Studios, right?
Right.
Hollywood Studios is the park that lacks shade. This
Right.
park, tons of shade, tons of
Yeah.
air conditioning, tons of great spots just to chill out and relax
Yes.
and do those things that you just described.
Although if you do, this is what I learned. If you do leave them at Connections, is it called the Connections Eatery or Connections
Yeah.
Cafe? I always
Yep.
forget which one's Starbucks and which one's food court. But if you leave them there for snacks, say there's a park right outside, they somehow will find the souvenir shop that's also there, and you will come home with an extra mini stuffy. That will happen. So just prepare that. Is that a caution? Maybe that should be a
Maybe that should be a caution. But that's also that moment where Abby's like, yes,
yeah.
mom, dad, you
Hmm.
go write Guardians because
Yeah.
I've got the setup on the grandparents.
There's a giant, like, we're talking, like, that souvenir shop is, like, not World of Disney, but not too far
But
off.
yeah, no, it definitely hits for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So that's a great insight. There's stuff you can miss, there's good dining you can miss. So don't write it off. Like, spend some time here too, right?
Yeah.
My
So how about you? Insight.
Yeah. So my insight is going to be this is your second rope drop. Or potentially your first. So I maybe your first is Guardians Test Track. You're already in this area. Maybe your first is Frozen. Maybe your first is Remy, which are in World Showcase. But no matter what your first is, this is your second rope drop is heading to the front area of the park because World Showcase is closed
Yeah.
essentially until slightly later on, right? There's not as much happening in terms of the shops, in terms of like festival booths, that type of thing. So spend time in the front of the park. And like you said, there's so many attractions close by that we want to get through some of those before crowds emerge, right? So this is whether you're heading to, and my two plays for this, I have two specific second rope drop plays, are whether you're heading to Soarin',
Yeah.
right? Before lines kind of pick up. That's one option. Or you're headed to meet Mickey and friends if you're a character family, and that's more what we're doing, or we're dealing with requirement shenanigans. Um, they open at 9. So it's often assuming early entries at 8:30, park opens at 9. Mickey and friends typically start meeting at 9. So you often can kind of be first in line right after your rope drop to go meet three characters in one and kick off your day meeting Mickey and Minnie and Goofy typically in their like classic attire too, which I don't know, I just love a classic Mickey Minnie attire. I understand there's fun things at Magic Kingdom for Minnie, but like I want her in the red polka dot dress. So,
Well, yeah, a lot of people want that as their picture,
yes,
right? And so
yes,
you're gonna get that. And I think that's a great insight into even this portion of the park, right? Because you do have your heavy hitters. You've got a Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got Test Track,
yes,
you could race off to Frozen if you want to, but there's a second layer of attraction in this area that allows you to not stand around a lot, to
yeah,
get a lot done. And I think that would be now my primary kind of rope drop strategies. Yep, we're going to do what the world's going to do, go to Guardians. We're probably backing up to Test Track. I'm not racing to Frozen because I'm probably prioritizing a lightning lane for that I'll get it later.
yeah.
And then I've got this whole other layer that kind of leads into my caution. And this is where I got to out myself a little bit, right? As an
Hmm.
early EPCOT park goer,
Sure.
I really did not enjoy this park because of my perception that outside of World Showcase, there was very little to do.
Ah, interesting.
I mean, Spaceship Earth was obvious,
Right. That's a
right?
thing. People line up there.
And
Yep.
if you're going into the park as we were later in the day, with the crowd, where's the crowd going? The crowd's going to World Showcase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, great. I've done World Showcase. We've looked through all the shops. We've had a few drinks. We've had a few
Yeah.
eats. We've done, the Grand Fiesta Tour. We did Maelstrom at that point in time, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, what are we going to do with the rest of the day?
Right.
Not knowing with my caution that you've got these wonderful spaces at the front of the park that have all these attractions
Yeah.
baked into them, but you've got to go into like these 3 or 4 buildings to find these things.
Yes. Yeah.
And so my caution is really pay attention to the information that is out there on this park. Understand what's in the land pavilion. Understand, what's in all of these different spaces that aren't in your face obvious, because you can easily get into Epcot and I guess have your expectations not met because you have an information gap.
Yeah, you didn't quite realize because it's not like a lot of theme parks where I walk in and I look around, like you said, and I say, "Oh, that looks fun. Let's go there." Right? It is one of those I need to know where to find things. I need to, at the very least, pick up a map and
Yeah.
explore some of that, right? And I would say characters are like that at this park too, because there's a ton of characters, specifically princesses, but their timing is very specific at different places, including Moana at the front of the park, right? So
Yeah.
needing to kind of do that bit of prep for this park makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So,
All
how about
right.
your caution, my friend? What is your caution as people think about Epcot?
My caution as people think about the front of the park, you know what, is actually going to be about Spaceship Earth.
Okay.
Because, like you said, when you walk into this park, you see Spaceship Earth and you know World Showcase is a thing. You might not know the other things. So that line can get suspiciously backed up. She's an efficient loader, Spaceship Earth overall, right? But because it's the first thing you see, and a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to go around the world. Should we do a ride first? For people who just know how this park functions a little bit less, or are just kind of going with the flow, which I can respect. That's not the Disney World I live in, but I can respect that that is some people's Disney World. Um, it just gets backed up. So this is one that I actually suggest like prioritizing earlier or setting a lightning lane, like one of those tier two lightning lane picks for, because this line can get backed up. So that's my caution, is not because it's like one of those like, top tier attractions that your kids are probably going to talk about for 3 weeks, but because it's there and it's obvious.
Yeah, I love that as a caution, and because I think your rope droppers, right? Your
Yeah.
early morning
Yeah.
park people, they're not headed to Spaceship Earth. They're going
No.
to be headed to a handful of other rides.
Yeah.
And they're the people who know what's going on,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that initial rush into the park at say typically 8:30,
Yeah.
those people are blowing past Spaceship Earth and there's no line. But what happens is you get the second wave
Yeah.
of your average park goer who cruises into Epcot, and to your point, at 9 o'clock, 9:30,
Yeah.
man, they are just slamming the Spaceship Earth line.
Totally.
And so again, for folks who are prepping for trips and are ahead of the curve because they listen to the podcast, from that like 9 to 10:30 time frame, just avoid it.
No
You're right.
spaceship, or yeah, no spaceship Earth for you at that time frame. Go later or go
But
earlier.
then at about 10:30,
It
man,
clears up.
Spaceship Earth it to death, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the line's going to drop. People are
Yeah.
headed to World Showcase.
Yeah.
The crowd has been rush has been through. I
Yeah.
mean, I almost see this as like your morning last ride strategy before you go and take the
You.
walk to World Showcase,
Yes.
right? It's like, what's the last ride I'm going to do at the front of the park before I
Ah.
go that way? Spaceship Earth.
That's a good strategy. Or my family will sometimes also, because we are big fans of the midday break, we'll sometimes like front of the park, midday break, World Showcase
Yeah,
will be our approach. So it could be a good like last ride before heading back to your resort. Because you're also, if you're busing or monorail back to your resort, you're off to the front anyway, right? So
completely agree.
yeah, that makes sense. So that would be my caution. My other caution, I have one more from experience. Really pay attention to character times on the app, especially at this park, because lots of people want to meet Moana, my friends. Moana is popular. She's only available at Animal Kingdom or Epcot, and people want to prioritize her, especially after doing Journey of Water, because it's Moana-esque. People are in the vibes. They're interacting with water. It's great. But just make sure you pay attention to those times and that you come towards the start of a time, right? Because they do cut off the line. So if you show up
Yep.
as it's the very last time slot of the day, it might already be that Moana is headed back to Montanui, as she told Abby on her way out last time we were at Epcot. So it is just one of those things where if characters are important, go towards like even a little bit before they're scheduled to meet. That way you are sure that you'll get a chance.
No, great tip because often those can be those moments that break young hearts,
I
right?
know. I know. And she was pretty good about it because Moana did say she was headed to Montanui. So Abby was like, well, that's checks out. That's obvious. Like, sure.
Well, and I'm going to build off that
Okay.
for adult aged kids, right? My kids
Yes.
are 20. You and I are very much on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Our listeners know that
Different
in
Epcot.
regards to where we are with our children. But I'm going to say my story was actually our last Christmas trip where we got to go to Epcot and hang out. And it was one of these things where I had never done Journey of Water.
Ah, right. Yeah.
And so it was a priority for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And my daughter Courtney had, I think maybe Taylor and Hayden had in regard to their honeymoon, some of this kind of stuff. I don't know. So we were doing Journey of Water. And what I loved was this idea of this particular attraction being a place where all kids can play.
Yeah.
Because what I saw from my kids was, yeah, let's make music with the water.
Nice.
Let's, play with the fountains and move them. Let's create waves and
Yeah.
the just the sheer look of joy on their face and the giggles and the hey,
Ah,
I'm taller than you are, so I can make the fountains go higher than you can kind of
yeah.
stuff. But to get some video of my adult kids playing inside Journey of Water was stinking amazing as a dad who just, we don't get that as a
Yeah.
family much anymore. We live, two-thirds of the country apart right now.
Right.
But to see them in that moment of, yep, my kids are still kids, and they'll
Ah,
always be kids for me, but
yeah.
to see them enjoy things through that kind of novice eye was just incredible. That's just one of those stories that I'm like, yeah, that's emotional glue.
That's interesting because, like, I often picture Disney as being meaningful in two ways for me. Like, one is to relive being a kid myself and to play and have fun and experience. And the other is to see Abby be a kid. But
Yeah,
this is almost this third way, too, as a parent of like watching your grown-up kids revisit their younger selves that you maybe haven't seen in a hot minute. Like
yeah.
that's a whole other layer of okay, we'll be going to Disney forever. I love it. My story is I've told it on the podcast before, but I need to revisit it just in case people missed this episode because this is my friend of the park story. Is I sold my house in Epcot.
Yes, you did.
And I will always remember Lucas handing me this contract, which everything is like signed virtually nowadays, right? And being like, should we sell our house? And looking at this offer for this house and us like talking this through as we're walking back and all of these things. And then after it was done and dusted, we signed the thing. And we quickly skedaddled off, left Abby with the grandparents at Connections, acquired the mini. It's all coming together. But anyway, we went off and did Soarin', and it was just like such a I don't know, benchmark moment of going to new places and getting to do this thing together and just celebration of like selling a house is not an easy run, not an easy experience. And we were kind of like racing for the house that we have now with other buyers. And so the fact that it all came together just felt like a little bit of Disney magic. So that's one of those like parks will and rides will have meaning for you outside of meaning they will have for other people. So that's one for me.
Yeah, no. So a question because these moments have power, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you remember where you were exactly standing when that happened?
I remember we were walking out of Nemo and when we got the contract. And then we were kind of like debating it back and forth. Okay, like, should we make this decision when we're like on a theme park high right now, or should we like go back to the resort for a second and like regroup? And we knew we were headed back for a midday break, and we had like a second with the timeline to respond. So we went back and had some time at the resort, and then we signed it. I think we signed. Actually, I don't remember the exact space where we clicked to the button, but I feel like it was in Epcot. Like we came back to Epcot and did it. And
Yeah,
then, yeah, and then we left Abs with grandparents while we skedaddled off because we had this plan. We had this lightning lane that we
yeah,
had reserved for this moment. So that was how that went down.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope our listeners got a little bit. We just, again, hit highlights across some of the things for the front of Epcot Park, as we love to call it. So, anything else you'd share with listeners before we roll into the kind of the game side of what we've got going?
Let's see. Starbucks is in the Connections building. It's a little more hidden, but required knowledge if it's required knowledge for people. And grab a festival guide when you come into the park. That's my only other kind of like insight maybe in this area is grab a guide there when they're all so available, even though you might not quite be in festival mode yet because you're in the front of the park. Just grab it so your day's ready to go.
Well, and having that hard copy is great because some of that information is not quite so evident in the app, right? It's
Yeah.
there, but you got to dig around to find it.
Also, it's a fun souvenir. Like collect your little festival guides. They're fun.
Yeah, great idea. All right, so this one we're going to end this PICS episode with a trivia related to, of course, Epcot Park. Now, I did not tell our friendly neighborhood chatbot
Mhm.
to give us only front of park.
Okay, so any Epcot.
Any of it. So
Okay.
we gotta know the scope here. But we'll see how we do on knowing our Epcot related Disney trivia.
I love it.
So, all right. Trivia question number one. In Spaceship Earth, what material gives the exterior its iconic reflective look?
What material?
Yeah, what material? So I guess what the geodome is made out of?
Yeah. This
Oh,
is
wow.
not a Jenna strength question.
No,
Like
I'm not
white
like
metal? I don't know.
I would think it's metal, but I don't know that it is. I'm just gonna do the cop out. I'm gonna say it's aluminum, right? Like
Okay.
that's the
That's
thing. It's gotta
shiny.
be like shiny, weather
Yeah,
resistant, all the stuff.
sure.
Like so, I don't
Okay.
know. I'm gonna go with it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with white metal.
Yeah, I am like did not expect that trivia question. All right. Oh, okay. This one we've got. This
Okay.
one I am sure of.
Where you can recover.
Yep, we'll get this one. What is the name of the soda from Club Cool that is famously disliked by guests?
It's gotta be Beverly.
It's got to be Beverly. And I took a double shot of Beverly last time we were in the parks just for science and social media purposes. And it's still as bad as it always has
Just
been.
to make sure it hasn't changed.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, it
Yep.
is bad. It definitely is. I've told you that I just gave that to Lucas like without warning at some point, right?
Oh, that was unkind.
Like I knew that it was going to be bad. He thought we were just sampling soda. He was
Wow. And
like,
you
I
didn't
don't
video
like
that
that.
moment?
Pardon?
I say you didn't video that moment?
I should have. This was before travel agent days when I like knew to do these things. It just lives in my heart.
Oh, that's pure evil. Like that's Disney villain moment on.
There you go. Add that to
Yep,
the villain or hero lineup for next
yep,
time.
agreed. All right. Question three. Inside the Seas with Nemo and Friends, what real world marine facility is considered one of the largest in North America?
Like I want to say aquarium, but are they looking for a name?
No, I don't think they're looking for a name. It is
Ah.
the aquarium, which up until recently, actually, I think this is a great Disney fact. It was the largest in the world. and has since been replaced by the aquarium actually in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. I have another fact about this aquarium. I don't know if you
Okay.
know this fact. So, Disney Treasure, Periscope Pub,
Okay. Yeah.
you look up, you see fish swimming. That's actually a recording from the aquarium at Epcot.
Oh, I wish I'd have known that when we were on board ship. That's super
Yeah,
cool.
that's where I learned it. It was on board the ship. Someone named that, and I was like, "That's super
Okay.
cool." So we were obviously far enough away in the crowd that you didn't hear that fact. But,
Yeah. So
yeah,
2 out of 3 ain't bad
two
because
out
I
of three.
think we messed up the first one.
Okay, let's see what they said.
Oh, Clint
Aluminum.
for the win.
Excellent.
So,
Great.
answer to question number one, the exterior is covered with aluminum panels.
Perfect. Shiny metal. You got it.
Complete guess.
Yeah. Sometimes that works out.
Question two, Beverly.
Yes.
That was
Well,
a given. And number three, the aquarium is currently second largest in the world, actually. So,
interesting.
all right. Well, this has been a great episode. I love when we
Yeah.
get a chance to dig into a park this way. Not go deep dive, but not also just kind of hitting the surface.
Hmm.
These are always fun. I appreciate learning from you through just what you choose to reflect on in these ways because
Yeah,
sometimes
you
we're
too.
just so different. So,
Hmm.
all right. So just the kind of paying things towards the podcast a little bit, guys. The best way to support us, 5-star Apple podcast review. We'll read it on air, we promise. We're still working to convince listeners that we're going to do this. So listeners out there, be the first.
We
Well, not
promise.
exactly the first. Be the most recent
Yes,
that
yes.
gets a chance to have your review read on air. Promise we will do it. Follow us on the Instagram. Follow us on the whatever your favorite platform is. Now can be YouTube. And so just kind of hit us up. We appreciate you listening because without you, we don't have a podcast.
This is true. Well, we probably do. We-
Yeah, we probably do it anyway, even if nobody was listening.
but it makes us feel better when people listen. So still do that, friends.
All right. So, Jenna, for this episode, let's remind our listeners
Adventures out there. Bye, friends.